Hello and welcome to a thrifty new episode of the StudioMEcast. I'm your host, Peter Regan, joining you from StudioME. And if you like the look and sound of this podcast, well, you can book it yourself at StudioME.me and see all the different studio spaces that we have available for you. Today, I'm joined by Nick Zarzeczny. He is a writer, director, producer, actor, and all kinds of other wonderful stuff, and he's going to be speaking to us today about his new short film that he's working on right now called Face Your Demons. And we're going to be talking about where he comes from, where he's been, where he's going, and all the inspirations for this particular film, as well as some of the elements and factors involved that make this production unique. So, without further ado, please join me in welcoming Nick. Thank you for joining me today.
Oh, thank you for having me. This is really exciting.
Absolutely. The tagline of your film is, "What are you afraid of?"
Yes.
I'm just going to be all cutesy and start with that. Nick,
Sure.
What are you afraid of?
A lot.
Oh, okay. Something to work with there.
but aren't we all,
Mhm.
right? And that's what the whole message and metaphor of the movie is about, because it's titled Face Your Demons, and there are physical demons in the movie, but the metaphorical sense is your inner demons and the things that we're afraid of. So,
All right. So this is a short film. Is this, that I saw in your pitch deck that you were saying that this was inspired a bit by real life experience, and that you also, we've been on a project together, you're acting, and you spent time in front of and behind the camera. For this one, you're exclusively behind the camera, correct?
correct.
Did
Well, not entirely, actually.
Oh, okay.
Because it was probably about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I did a revision, and then I added a Twilight Zone intro in which I will be doing, and then I will step behind camera.
Oh, that's cool. I like that. Yeah.
I feel as if that would be a nice kind of set the tone vibe to the movie, and then the rest of it is no dialogue, which makes it even harder to convey what you're trying to what you're trying to convey, and it's.
Do you prefer being on camera or behind? Well, I guess the real question is, do you have a preferred role in film?
That's a hard question. and it's so hard because I enjoy both. And I've taken acting classes, and everything that I've learned behind camera, I haven't taken classes for. So, and I've learned everything on set from other people, from my friends that I've developed over the years, through the networking and the indie projects, and also theater too. And just there's all kinds of options out there that I have a hard time just settling on one. But I do enjoy directing and acting the most. I think that dynamic really can make a project sizzle really well if it's done right.
As far as like acting and directing in the same work itself?
No, just two people having a good chemistry
Oh,
and being able to understand the work and being able to dissect what the underlying tones are, and then you have one the actor turning that into real life, just right on camera after months of prep.
Right.
And it can be, it's entertaining. That's what we watch it for.
So for this film, we're mostly with, just alongside our main character for it. And you've already gone through casting,
Yes.
right? Tell me a bit about your casting process for these roles.
So in this particular process, I already had the two actors in mind. It's Laura Young and Brian Saponis, and they both have had massive accolades in their own respective fields, and it's just amazing to work with both of them. And normally I would set up an audition for everybody, but I think because this is such a personal project that I wanted to just pick 2 people that I knew that was going to do the job right, and then have them do their thing.
So did you have them in mind during the writing of this, or
no? Actually, I had a couple other people in mind, and then as months went by and I kept revisiting, it was originally written for a man to be walking home, and I thought, well, let's up the stakes. Let's put it as a girl walking home. How scary is that? And let's add into that. Let's dig into that a little bit more and see how we can increase the stakes on that. Because there's implications on either gender or any gender, or anybody walking home, right? And especially with the time that the society that we live in, we're always fearful of like what's behind us,
and also the literal time where it takes place more in the evening or at night. Correct.
Right.
Night shoots are fun, aren't they? Wonderful stuff. So. Now,
and with it being cold with these temperatures now,
geez, Well, okay, so just making those changes, like you said, there's implications that the audience can draw from just with the situation that's about. Now, before we start recording here, I kind of want to get a sort of a breadth and width of like what kind of production this is from you. It's like it's a short film. It's got mainly 2 people, 2 actors in it, 2 in the cast, excuse me, and you mentioned some VFX before we started recording. But you also sent me something that looked like a test of a practical effect. Are you utilizing VFX and practical effects for this story?
Yeah. So it's a 10-minute short that will mostly be used for my portfolio, but it will also be sent to film festivals. And we're going to be using mostly practical effects with a finalized visual effect. And I originally wrote this at a time where I didn't really know a lot about visual effects.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And so I wrote this and I thought, oh, this would be great. It'd be easy to do on visually, right? Until I saw the price. And then I was like, oh, maybe I need to change this up a bit. And so then I went through and our visual effects guy, Jesse Coffer,
great friend of the show and of me personally. Love Jesse.
Awesome.
He's the best.
And he suggests a lot of things to kind of challenge me to make it more practical effects. And I always rise to the challenge. So when it wasn't just about price, but when he said, just try to see what you can do. And I'm like, okay, we'll see. So I started going through different ideas on how to make the visual effects more practical and how to shoot it, and I thought about different angles and how I could replicate those same effects with practical ones. And then I dwindled down to just having the final finale, which I don't want to spoil.
Oh, of course not. So we've got a passion for working with like actors and directing. We've got some you're breaking more into some visual effects. You're doing some practical stuff. It seems like you're working in like a horror thriller genre here as well. Are these do these represent like the inspirations of films that you've seen that you love as well? These kinds of things. Like, are you making the kind of movie that you like to see, or are those different things?
So this kind of touches on an inside joke where close friends of mine are like, have you seen this movie? And I always say no.
Okay.
Because I don't really watch a lot of movies.
All
but for being a film guy, it's so ironic. But
well, you're also in theater as well.
Yeah. Well, when I get a chance, and if the mood strikes me. Because I know there's a lot of social media out there that says, oh well, you should really start with theater and kind of build up from there, and be comfortable on stage. I was never comfortable on stage ever. Like, I remember the first time I was on stage, I almost missed my one line.
Oh my gosh!
And I was back in high school,
Yeah.
So I eventually got through it, but it took a while for me to get comfortable. And now I'm at a point where I still get like anxious being on stage. And it's that stage fright that I don't think I will ever get rid of.
Do you ever get that feeling when you're on set acting? Because
Yeah.
there's still there can be a bunch of people around.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. There's there are times where you go to think of the next part in the scene. Like, you should always be knowing your lines, right? But sometimes with no sleep and your motorcycle gets stuck on the side of the road the night before, and you don't get any sleep, that you kind of sometimes forget your lines, right?
Right.
But life happens, and I still get that way. But I do my best to focus and relax and just enjoy myself being on stage or on set. Because I want everyone else around me to have a fun time too, and be able to play off my chemistry to their advantage, because that's the only way it's going to pop.
Yeah.
So.
Well, going back a little bit, asking about any inspirations for films you might like. If you don't watch that many movies, where did your passion for film come from? Was it from watching movies at some point in your life, or did it come from something else?
When I was a kid, my brother and I watched a lot of movies.
Okay.
And I remember seeing a lot of the award shows, and I thought, man, wouldn't that be fun? But as everyone grows up and realizes how challenging it could be, I didn't want to lose that, and I thought it was so unique to try to get into that. It wasn't really something that it's not like your traditional 9-to-5 job, right? So when I tried to learn more about it, it was a vastly different experience than just watching these award shows and going, oh yeah, that'll be fun. I'd be like, oh wow, this is really hard work.
Do you think you've ended up liking it more, or is it good
Absolutely.
enough?
Yeah. I mean, there's not a day that I don't walk off set, and I'm very happy with my contribution to a project.
I said to a friend recently, like, even when things are going bad, I feel lucky. It's like I'm still doing this, So it's I get it. Well, that's great. So,
and it's like it's just like a feeling you can't really get from a lot of other options out there. It's and in a way you probably can, right? With any type of hobby or interest, you challenge yourself and you accomplish it and you feel good, like you did it, and that's something you just can't get from a lot of other things, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's finding that kind of passion, fulfillment, artistic or otherwise, is just one of the best things in life. So
absolutely.
Now, you wrote a script with visual effects in mind, without having led a production with visual effects before. Is that correct?
Yeah.
All right. I have done the same thing before, and it ended up working out fine. But were you kind of like aware you were doing that while you were doing it, or were you just letting you actually? Let me back up, because more interesting question. Tell me what your writing process
I was actually going to
looks
touch upon
like.
that. Yeah.
Like, are you typing? Are you writing by hand? What is, if in the documentary about your life, if someone's like just a fly on the wall and you're writing, what do they see?
I'll take you to a moment 2 nights ago, actually, where I came home and I had this idea, and what I'll do is I'll get comfortable. I'll put on music that is a genre related to what I want to write.
Is it like movie soundtracks?
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
Or gaming soundtracks as well.
Right.
And that probably sounded really loud.
That's okay.
And I will just let my brain just kind of wander, and I kind of have a general idea of kind of what I want to write down.
Okay.
But then I try to iron that out with different scenarios and different ideas, and I'll just try to jot them down. And then sometimes, like a couple nights ago, I fall asleep while I do that. But when I relook at it, I go, "Oh no, I could use that," or "No, I don't. I didn't really like that. I could use this instead." And then I'll keep revisiting it and go, "Oh no, I'll switch it again to let's change this a bit. It's up to stakes, or that's too hard right now. Let's soften the blow here."
Well, I see you going like this. Are you taking these notes by hand when you're writing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
In my initial steps are more handwritten.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's something to be had with that.
There is,
and I don't know why.
Well, the reason why I think Harvard Research Center did a study about the fine motor function you get from writing by hand is different and more engaging than when you're typing.
Oh, okay.
So they did it in the context of taking notes on a lecture, where they took people who, they're doing a proper research study where these people normally take notes by hand, these people normally type their notes, and they had them listen to the same lecture and do that, and then they had them all listen to a different lecture and had them switch. And it was like basically everybody who took notes by hand, even if they usually typed, ended up doing better in the study. So there is something about the fine motor function of writing by hand that connects to the mind. I'm not saying that typing never works. That doesn't work for anybody, but the research seems to bear out that it's kind of like the difference between, using a mouse or a touchpad when you're operating a computer. It's like you might be quicker with your touchpad at first, but a mouse is ultimately a quicker tool for what you're trying to do. Like you can ultimately get better with that, So that's what it seems to be, according to Harvard Research. But, what do they know? But no, yeah, I think
you learn
that's
something
cool.
new every day, right?
I'm similar, because every first draft I do is by hand, and if I have to do a major rewrite, I'll go back to hand, and then I'll usually redraft it by typing it.
Okay.
Depending on the project, I sometimes start with drawings, just sketchbooks and stuff like that. Yeah. But not every project calls for that kind of thing.
And then drawing takes me to storyboarding, where I already have an idea of how this is going to play out, but sometimes I can't really visually see it in the frame until I start drawing the circle for the face. It's like just stick figures, but
well, that's interesting to me because I don't hear a lot of people talk about sort of kind of something you brought up, which is that I think some filmmakers have a vision, like they can see what they want to make. They can see what they want to make. And then it's just a point of kind of getting to that or as close as possible. But then there's some people where it's like they can't see it, but they have the idea and they're finding the movie while they do it, and storyboarding can be a part of that. Yeah. It's not like you don't have a mental image ever, right?
Right, but, because there are certain critical moments in the writing where, that's a great image to go with this moment.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then that will add to the storyboard, but what happens afterwards or before? You have to really kind of convey that and tell that to your crew of, hey, like, is what we're hoping to replicate.
Yeah,
don't mind the stick figures.
There was stick figures, do it, man. I was doing a project one time, and there's this climactic scene, and it was like cutting between a bunch of like phone calls, basically, and I was trying to get everybody to understand like the pace of it, you know, without like doing line reads for them, and it just like. Yeah, whatever limitations at the time, it just, the communication wasn't there. And eventually I pulled out, I had a previs that I had used to show some people, like to basically pitch the film to and be like, hey, do you want to get involved on this? And it turned out pretty well. So I just pulled up the previs and I showed the actors. I'm like, here's the scene. And I played it, and it's like, it clicked for them when they finally saw it, and like they'd start grinning. They're like, "Oh, I get it. I can see it now." You know, and they ended up doing their own thing with it, but they understood like what I was kind of going for, and like, and suddenly the script made sense to them too. You know, so it's like, but yeah, having, because other people don't have a window to your brain, right? You know, having those storyboards and all that can be a super valuable tool for communicating with, you know, anyone in your production. You also have been and are a director of photography. You've worked with Red Slate Films and have been a DP on at least one project with them before as well. Are you going to be shooting this project, or do you have a collaborator for that?
We'll be running 2 cameras.
Okay.
So Jesse from Red Slate will also be DPing as well. And I will be running the other camera. But there'll be moments where it'll just be him running one camera, and then I'll watch on his screen the picture.
Right.
But yeah. It's a whole different world when you switch between, you know, being in front and back, and then going from director to DP. It's like,
yeah, you've got a lot of hats for this. You're in it as presenting the film, which I find is a really, like, a classic kind of thing, like whether it's The Twilight Zone or Alfred Hitchcock Presents. You know, I think The 10 Commandments has Cecil B. DeMille coming out as like, just so you know, everybody, here's what the film's about. You know, like, he's like bringing in, because he was remaking his own movie. He made one in the 20s, and then he made the one that everyone knows, Charlton Heston. And he said, like, he's like, we wanted to retell this to give it like a greater context, because we had just gone through the Second World War. But yeah, doing that presenter move is something that I enjoy immensely with stuff. But you're in it. You're directing, and now you're also on camera for part of the time?
Just the beginning and the very end.
I mean, like, you're operating the camera is what I meant to say.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, operating for part of the time.
Yeah.
Do you edit as well?
I will be editing the majority of this.
Okay.
Yeah. And then Jesse Coffer will also be editing the visual effects part of it.
Yeah, you're in great hands with him. He's phenomenal.
I've seen a lot of his work. It's really good.
I work with him a lot. I'm very lucky. Well, then I guess this brings up, aside from, well, the answer to this might be nothing, but aside from visual effects, is there any position on a film that you're really not interested in doing? Because you go in front, behind, the side, all that. You edit, you're in post-production, you're writing the thing. You know, is there an area that you leave to others more?
This is yes. So there are, I'd probably say 2 or 3 probably parts in the entire wheel that I really try to. I know I need to learn about more, but I also don't want to learn about it. For example, the producing side of things and the business side of it. I've really kind of dived into that these last couple of months, and boy, I don't enjoy it at all.
Oh, yeah.
The business, the business side of it. Oh, it's interesting how like different it is, because I work a corporate job outside of this, and it's like trying to balance those two ideals into one unit of being, let's support art, but we can't support it because you can't do, we need a haircut on this, you can't do that, and you can't do this, and then, oh no, you can't do that. It's like, so it's definitely challenging on that side of things, and then also financially trying to raise money, trying to find people who want to donate or even invest in your company. It's tough. It's really tough.
Well, if it was easy, everyone would do it.
Right. Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same thing with music. I love music. I play piano, dabble in guitar, dabble in violin. I have a harmonica. I don't play those instruments well, but but they're fun, and it always brings me joy when I play them a little bit. And but seeing how composers put something like film score together for a movie is just a whole nother level.
So you're working with a composer on this?
I would like to. I'm still looking for a composer, by the way.
Make sure you get on that, guys.
That's right. And I would like for all this to be local, because I really like local support and talent. And I think just watching composers put stuff together is just mind-blowing to me. I can't wrap my head around it. It's like, if you break it down, I get it, but put it all together, it's like soup.
Right. Do you when you're editing? Okay. Well, first, have you worked with a composer before on one of your projects that you were leading?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you use temp music before you sent it to them?
No, I did not.
Cool.
I
hear that they don't like that.
Yeah. No, I like originality. And I want to hear what their thoughts are and their opinions are.
Excellent.
Before I go, well, okay, here's the rest.
Yeah, I think I used to use temp music on stuff, and then before I worked with a professional composer, learned hey, maybe don't do that. And and fortunately I was never editing to the temp music. I was trying to find music that kind of fit with what I was doing. But then went from that to not using any at all to now I'm working on a project where in order to get feedback from people, because I'm doing some test screenings for some stuff, and having temp music in there helps a lot, because it is one of those films that is while I was writing and shooting some scenes, I was music has to be a part of this or it's just not going to work. So it's and there needs to be something there.
And there's that feeling that you get with that, kind of tells you there's got to be something.
Yeah, there. You can tell, it would just be, watching and then just there's going to be music there, it's but I think when I get to the point of working with the composer, I'm not gonna, I'll ask them what they prefer, but I'm probably going to send them a version, not ever let them see it with any temp music, because I do want them to, I know what I want, or I have at least an idea of what I want for it, but if they come up with something that works better for it, that wouldn't even occur to me, obviously I want to take advantage of that.
Yeah.
So, so you're looking for a composer right now. You're looking to go local with just about everything here.
Yeah.
Are there any other positions that you haven't filled out yet that you're looking for people?
Not for this project.
So just the composer.
So just the composer in this project. However, we will have a submission for the 48. So we'll be doing a 48 team. So looking for positions for that. And cooking up some other ideas that I need to finish writing, but I also need to just kind of get uh, a stronger foothold on just kind of the community of like, here, this is what we do, and we're awesome at it. Hopefully, if you think, and just trying to get more eyes on the business,
Absolutely.
and the page, and
Well, that's really good. Now you're looking at bringing this film to festivals. All right.
Yep.
Which projects you've been involved with have gone on this festival circuit before? Is this film? Is it going to stay as a short? Is that what this story is really, or are you looking at maybe having this be a proof of concept for a feature?
I am looking to just keep it as a short. I don't right now, at least, I don't foresee any kind of plans of building it out. Doesn't mean that it can't happen, but right now I don't really foresee anything else outside of it. I really wanted to start with this project to kind of reignite the company name within the community, to make sure that I say, hey, I've kind of been behind the scenes a little bit, but now 7 years later, here I am, still over here.
Yeah.
So wanted to get just eyes on the company to say that we're still here, and we're going to be doing a lot more, because I've done so much over the years that it's really about time.
That's good. Yeah, it's good to be coming from a place of that kind of experience, and it's like, well, that being said, are you
and I'm still learning,
Of course.
We're all learning.
Do you have any features in your future that you're thinking about at this point?
I do.
Yeah. Want to talk about it?
Yeah.
Okay, tell me.
We can briefly talk about it.
Yeah. Let's do it.
So, funny thing about my writing, and some ideas that come to me is through dreams. And I had this really crazy dream. Don't worry, it's nothing bad. Where I was basically to try to become and my dreams tend to be like 3 hours long. It's insane
cool.
detail.
Yeah.
And so then on real on the black market.
No way.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I gotta write this down. This is so good.
Ew, that's cool. I like that. That's that's a
But-
really neat idea, man.
Yeah, that's in the works.
What a cool premise. Do you have a title yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
But I do have it written out, and it will be copywritten. So don't.
Good. Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
If you want me to cut this part, just let me know. Do you have any plans for that to be your first feature?
I don't know yet.
Mhm.
I'm waiting. I know I really shouldn't be waiting, because when opportunity knocks, you go after it. But I want to have this. I want to come up with this idea that really sparks something so different that it kind of catches like wildfire. I don't know what it is yet, but I want that idea to either be action, comedy, or drama. And because a lot of our Pittsburgh network, it tends to be horror. But even this short is more of a psychological thriller, but has some horror aspects to it. And so I want this feature to be more planned out, more thought provoking, and straight up fun. I love fun movies. It's where there's like that little bit of doubt of, no, you couldn't do that. No. But he did, and that's what makes it fun. And I want to come up with this an idea of that caliber, that is just knocks your socks off fun. So
cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good goal to have, and I like the emphasis on the fun because I think there are some films that I've seen that, and they aren't even necessarily bad, but there's some films that you watch and it's like, did it occur to anybody while they were making this to like, oh, this should be entertaining, like yes, for some things that happen, but it's so I think even just having that on the forefront of your mind makes a huge difference. And now, getting back to your short now, Face Your Demons. This might be sort of a dead end, but I'm gonna ask about like with the Face Your Demons. That's sort of a metaphorical thing for a lot of people. There's also like religions that have demons in them and all that kind of thing. Is there a religious aspect to this film at all?
No, not really. There are indications of it, but there's not really. I don't go into depth with it. It's more subtle in the background, and just it's there if you want to notice it, but it's not really that like blatant.
Well, let me ask you another question then, which is for when you're writing. You mentioned that a lot of the time you have an idea of what you're going to write before you sit down to actually, put it to paper. Sometimes ideas maybe fall out of the sky or like you get into a situation like kind of with this one. But do you ever like come up with ideas where you're just trying to think, I want to do a story that's like deals with this theme or has this message, or I want to make specifically a comedy? Do you ever like just start mining creatively with like a goal, or do you rely mostly on inspiration to strike for you? How does like, I guess this is a fancy way of asking where do your ideas come from, but yeah, no, seriously though, where so how do you have a moral or a message in mind with the stuff you're writing? Is that like your starting point, or do you come up with a situation, the story comes around through there? Is it different? How does that?
It's a mixed bag,
yeah,
really. Because as we talked earlier, or referenced earlier, most of my ideas come through the 3-hour dreams I have that I sometimes can't get out of. But other times, I do have one idea where I did try to mine for a comedy. And it's loosely based off of like Inspector Clouseau and Pink Panther and Naked Gun and Airplane and all that. And so there's all kinds of material out there to and obviously you never want to plagiarize, but there's so much gold out there that you can mine and make it your own, but still have tropes and references to those older, pioneers. And so I don't really have like one path of how I write. I just kind of loosely base my ideas into something and form it into something, and then see how I can turn it into a story. Or sometimes other way around, where I already have the story and then the message that I want to write, and then I try to work my way backwards. And that's sometimes harder, because you sometimes don't know what the message is until you're halfway through your writing, and you go, oh, I should focus more on this part, because that would be more, that'd be more sweet for the audience to relate to and understand and intake. So it just really depends. It really depends. Yeah, that's a tough question.
Yeah, sorry.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
I love diving into those types of questions, because it's like, where does inspiration of that, like, where does that come from? And our minds are just vast pieces of great material of limitless imagination. It can go anywhere. And how we think and what how our lives work and our influences and stuff. It can go anywhere really, and that's what's so much fun. You really try to like grab onto one of those, you know, or walk down those paths and see where it takes you. You
Right.
know?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, something that I'm starting to do with guests on this show is because a lot of the people who come on are in film, video, and all that. And I just want to see, do you have a movie recommendation for people? A movie rec. It doesn't even have to be your favorite movie.
Yeah.
But do you have a movie recommendation? And without spoilers, why? Like, should they watch it?
Yeah. One of my top favorite movies would be The Count of Monte Cristo.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've seen it. The one with Richard Harris in it, as the older guy in it.
Oh, I think it was late 2000s.
Yeah.
Is it Guy Pearce?
Yeah.
Yeah. Same one. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Richard
I'm
Harris
really bad
is
with names.
his teacher. Richard Harris is the actor who plays his teacher.
Okay.
In that.
Gotcha.
So,
Okay.
Dumbledore. Basically.
Yeah.
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 Wow. Okay. Cool.
I think there's something about those 3 acts that really make that storyline something to learn about revenge and just how it could affect you, and the things that you learn about people and trust and all kinds of stuff. It's like there's so much stuff that you can pull from that storyline and just that dialogue.
Absolutely. Well, that's a good rec. Thanks for that, because I'm pretty much due for a rewatch on that one myself.
There you go.
So that's it. This is secretly just a way for me to get movie recommendations for me. So
okay.
Well,
I sold.
So as we've got, your IMDb is in the description. If there's any social media for people to follow, we'll have that down there as well. Is there anything else that you'd like people to know about that you got going on with this, or anything that you'd like to leave us with?
Probably cut out the moment that I think about this, but in the moment, I can't really think of anything else right now.
Okay.
But I do want to thank you for having me on.
It's been a pleasure.
This has been amazing, and it's been really fun. But no, I don't really think
we covered it.
I think we did cover it pretty well. I want everybody to, when it comes out, I want everybody to enjoy what they're seeing, and try to maybe relate it to your own life and see what fears that you might have, and hopefully we did right. So,
fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, when it's done, love to have you back.
Thank you.
As well, or even before then, if you like. And but yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the film. Mm-hmm. And I hope that your crowdfunding campaign continues to go well, and that that you have a blessed production without major issues.
Speaking of which, we have Friday and Saturday are going to be our shooting dates.
Oh, this Friday and Saturday?
This Friday and Saturday.
Wonderful.
But the issue is that the temperatures are going to be so cold that I might have to reschedule.
Ah, jeez. Yeah, that would suck.
So I'm really hoping and praying to the film gods that we can pull this off and not have to reschedule. As it looks like Sunday would probably be another option, but it just depends.
And you're looking at just 2 days of filming?
Yeah, it should just be 2 days of filming.
Excellent. Love that.
And that'll be enough to cover all the scenes that are in it to make it about 10 minutes.
Very cool.
So,
all right. Yeah. Well, a 10-minute short.
Mm-hmm.
And do you have a projected sort of like completion date?
Yeah, I would like to finish this probably mid-spring.
Okay. Yeah.
March.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. That'll probably give me a good time to get other projects done. Because I even have a couple gigs coming up. So you got to focus on that, and then get editing, and then got to work with Jesse, and so all these maneuvering. I feel like always like a puppet man, to be honest.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're in good hands with Jesse. He's anything that like as much as possible as you can plan shots out with him before you get them, and there might be things where he'd want to be there on set. It depends, I'm sure. But
and and I also forgot to mention we have Kaylee Fitzgerald producing as well.
Fantastic,
right?
Excellent, well done. I need to have her back on here actually. So.
She's been amazing so far. So this production is really going to go pretty smoothly. So.
Excellent. Well, very good. Well, I hope it goes well for you, and thanks again for being my guest.
Of course, thank you for having me. It was really fun.
Well, I certainly hope you enjoyed that conversation here that I had with Nick. I'd like to thank him again for being my guest here on the StudioMEcast. And if you like the look and sound of this podcast, well, you can book this space yourself at StudioME.me. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and all that other wonderful fun stuff. And I hope that you'll be listening to us again very soon. Bye-bye.